Hello, and welcome to a Lens of Truth's list of the best games I played in 2024. I did this last year, and it was a fun way to review how the year went and inform what I plan to play this year. Pretty much the same setup as last year. Of the games I played, these are the 5 most delightful, engaging, and unforgettable. In addition to skipping games I played specifically for a video, like I Spy Treasure Hunt, games I streamed are also excluded.
Streaming Saturdays at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Then I'll list some honorable mentions before revealing my favorite game I played in 2024. But I'll start with my top 5 disappointments, so we can end on a more positive note. So without further ado, the most disappointing games I played last year, going chronologically, start with Super Sammy Roll, which is one of those games you hear about as this cool new indie 3D platformer. Yes, I watched the NitroRad video, but this one doesn't live up to the hype. It's supposed to be a fast, momentum-based game, but then all the level design requires accurate platforming, and you have this tongue grapple that is extremely precise and unforgiving. Seriously, no snapping at all? And levels typically have a pretty harsh time limit, resulting in many deaths. It doesn't flow well at all, and the real way to beat most levels involves figuring out ways to skip most of it. Not a good sign. Honestly, while capturing footage, I could only beat like half the levels I tried. Though, in all fairness, World 3 is definitely worse than World 4. I have learned to not take recommendations at face value, and yet I still do this. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. For 10 years, this game has been lauded as the best side-scroller ever. And for 10 years, I've been lied to. I can safely say that it is not. My major issue is the controls. They didn't really change from Returns, and that's a problem because they're kinda sloppy and sluggish. You only control Donkey Kong and he feels heavy and stiff. Like he doesn't want to do all the complicated things the game asks of him. Which is really stupid because if you go back to the first Donkey Kong Country, both he and Diddy are incredibly responsive and can get through all the challenges safely. Add to that extremely long levels, tedious boss battles, and stupid shit like the rocket barrels, and I'm pretty sure this isn't the best side-scroller ever. Gah! Shit! Are you kidding me? I can't even make it to the first checkpoint in this damn level. Pokemon Scarlet marks the completion of Pokemon's long descent from quaint little Game Boy adventures that felt larger than they were to bloated modern console open world games that I can hardly remember. I was then going to talk about the sterile map design with minimal discerning features and randomly generated garbage just strewn about, but holy crap, when I went back to get footage I was floored by the game's performance. I'm not here to talk about the game's ho-hum and oft-repeated art direction, no. I'm talking about how it runs like shit. You are constantly assaulted with graphical glitches, both off in the distance and right in your face. And I do mean constantly. The frame rate also falters a lot, but there are places when it absolutely tanks. This is probably common knowledge, but the tag tree thicket reliably causes the game to chug. I'm not exaggerating when I say I felt visually harassed for the little time I spent recording. It was that bad. I don't really get it. Breath of the Wild released 5.5 years before this. And we all know Breath of the Wild didn't have the best performance, but it still felt like the cutting edge of what Nintendo could do on their console. But to have this as the latest flagship release in the Pokemon franchise is just embarrassing. Like, I know it's Pokemon, so it'll sell regardless, but these visuals border on broken, over 2 years after release, and I'm assuming there are no more patches upcoming. Doesn't bode well for Legend ZA. But Great Tusk is awesome. I just wish they could have been a little more creative with the name. Screamtail, Fluttermane, Slitherwing, Roaring Moon. Great Tusk? You mean like a Great Ball? How about Master Tusk, Savage Tusk, Crazy Tusk? I honestly thought his name was Wild Tusk for a while. Come on, can we try a little harder? Cyber Shadow is so weird. Yacht Club's involvement got me excited to play it, but I grew more cautious after reading the reviews. Playing the game, the reviews were justified. The game starts off extremely limited. You have almost no options for movement besides running and jumping. Then you gradually gain abilities as you labor through a few levels. Then, after halfway through, you gain the dash ability, completely changing the mechanics and level design to one where you trial and error your way through enemies and hazards, just hoping to make it to the next checkpoint. Neither of these two gameplay styles are complete or all that satisfying, and the story itself is rather vague and ho-hum. And it's a challenge to get through from beginning to end. Unfortunately, I'd recommend skipping this one. You're not getting another Shovel Knight, that's for sure. Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves, and Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. That's right, 2 for 1 on this entry. Sly Cooper is a series that started off really strong, something I might mention later on, but it ended so badly. Gone is the dark tone in favor of Saturday morning cartoon antics. I mean, Sly used to be so cool.
Nice.
But now he and his friends are all giant goofballs, dude. And you hardly ever steal stuff anymore. I know you can pickpocket, but 3 jettisoned the treasures and clue bottles. 4 brought them back, but in their worst forms. Clue bottles are cruelly hidden and treasures are a tracked collectible, and net less coins than pickpocketing. And the actual jobs you pull off often have little to do with thieving. 3 is all about recruiting team members, and 4 is about rescuing Sly's ancestors. And I'll never understand how he went from villains like Raleigh, Mugshot, Miss Ruby, Panda King, Clockwork, Rajan, the Contessa, and Constable Neela to General Sal, Toothpick, the Grizz, Miss Decibel, Paradox, and the Mask of Dark Earth. And don't even get me started on 4's controls. Hoo boy! Wait, was that 6? Whatever, with those disappointments out of the way, let's look at the cream of the crop. Toy Story 2.
Buzz Lightyear to the rescue!
This is a game I played the crap out of growing up on the PlayStation, but some mad lad fixed up the crusty old PC port to run in widescreen on modern systems, and that blew my mind. It's a collectathon, so you have to find coins, Pizza Planet tokens, and 5 of a specific item in each level. Some of the levels do wear on you, especially due to a lack of shortcuts, making the vertical level design pretty painful if you fall down. But bangers like Andy's House, Andy's Neighborhood, and Al's Toy Barn, not to mention the Construction Yard, are just so cool, probably helped by the fact that you play as a toy, so everything else is comparatively huge. Buzz controls fairly well. His double jump is useful in platforming, and he can bounce, climb, and zipline in the proper context. His laser is good for downing enemies and solving some simple puzzles, and his spin attack is surprisingly effective against most baddies. He also unlocks a plethora of items from Mr. Potato Head. Some see a lot of use, others are pretty useless. For a licensed game, it's pretty solid, and I think Traveler's Tales had some fun making this one. And this level select map looks slick. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. My current situation makes playing PS3 games the easiest to just pop in and play. So when I realized I had never tried the Sly trilogy on PS3, I figured I'd give it a go. And man, did that series start off hot. Sly 1's introduction of our thief's unique platforming skills is paced out perfectly. The Isle of Wrath warms you up with sidling, climbing, and swinging, and then you learn the Ninja Spire jump for Mesa City, and the rail walk for the Haitian jungle. Admittedly, invisibility was kind of a lame last skill, but it's fine. But Sly 1 is the only game in the series made up mainly of linear levels, with a key to grab at the end. These dedicated platforming gauntlets are by far the best in the series, and since you die in one hit, Sly really feels like he's becoming this master thief that must stay out of sight or he'll be killed. And the clue bottles ensure that you explore each level's nooks and crannies to unlock bonus techniques hidden in safes. The game does have its lows, like the racing sections, and the last episode eschewing a hub world for a linear trial of levels does suck, but I'm still overall positive about the experience. Best in the series for sure. BioShock Infinite. I liked BioShock 2 so much that I couldn't keep Infinite on hold any longer. I am aware of a lot of the development history behind this one, but I just want to focus on the game. I had heard about the opening, but it's hard to fully grasp until you experience it for yourself. Landing in Colombia, exploring the fair, learning some of the lore, and hearing God Only Knows by the Beach Boys sung a cappella in a story set in 1912 is all fascinating. God only knows what I'd be without you. And that's what I love about BioShock Infinite, the atmosphere. Sure, Booker and Elizabeth are pretty interesting, and the combat gets the job done well enough, but as the story gradually weakens due to poorly thought out dimension hopping, where the characters don't even think about returning to their own dimension, it's the environments and atmosphere that hold the experience together. Whether it's Columbia's city streets, the resort areas of Battleship Bay, the exhibits in the Hall of Heroes, or the war-torn streets of Emporia, I'm absolutely game for exploring and discovering more about the world. It's not often that a game can make me just want to look around for an extended period of time. The Burial at Sea DLCs are weird though. Just a To the Moon series beach episode. The To the Moon series, or as I like to call it, the Sigmund Corp games, are a testament that video games don't all have to follow the same mold. This series was made in RPG Maker, yet dropped a lot of the RPG conventions like battles, character progression, and a world-saving plot, to focus on a narrative-driven experience, featuring 2 doctors who provide a wish-fulfilling service by reconstructing a client's memories using a special device. In this quote-unquote beach episode, our protagonists Eva and Neil, alongside Roxy and Rob, are sent on a one-day vacation by the company to, where else, a beach resort. During that day, your excursions are extreme sports, exploring a lighthouse, a mystery event at the hotel, and lunch at the restaurant. There are even a couple mini-games to distract you. Because it's supposed to be a beach episode, you aren't given a single objective to work towards, but the plot reveals itself as you progress through the day, with a pretty major reveal to cap it all off. It felt weird because it's kind of supposed to be the end of the series, but it's presented in such a strange package. I enjoyed it, but it didn't deliver an emotional blow the way I'd come to expect. 30XTX. Battery Staples' follow-up to 20XTX discards the flash-styled art direction for high-res pixel art, and just looking at it, you'd expect that to be the biggest change.
Wrong!
30XTX is probably the more complete game. Now, each boss has its own level theme, with more distinct gimmicks like double jump pads, dirt surfing, and changing gravity. Now, there are more optional challenges throughout the levels, like speed tests, enemy gauntlets, and ability restrictions to unlock extra AUGs. Those AUGs can now be scrapped instead of acquired, and a dealer can show up and offer upgrades for your accumulated scrap. Now, all levels, and thus runs, go on for longer. Now, all the power-ups are unlocked from the beginning, but there are other important upgrades to unlock between runs. And it's those last 2 that really make the difference. 20XTX was a game that was easy to jump into and get pretty far into a run, but 30XTX was a slog to start. Many of those unlockable upgrades are downright essential to a successful run, and for the first few hours I only made it to around level 5. But once I warmed up to it and hit that run where all the stars were aligning, I realized 30XTX is fun, in its own way. I plan to do something more detailed about this game down the line. I'd still recommend the first one, but this game is solid as well. Okay, before crowning my favorite, let's look at some honorable mentions. Sonic Forces Overclocked. Can't do one of these videos without mentioning Sonic. Back in 2017 when Sonic Forces came out, I felt the major criticism was the boost to win level design. It was extremely basic. So the Overclock team decided to use Forces mechanics and objects to build their own set of stages and really see what the engine could do. And it's definitely more exhilarating than the core game. They even wrote a new story to go along with the levels, a noble effort, but it's nothing special. Unfortunately, the thing that kept it out of the top 5 was a slew of technical issues. Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy, got reverse engineered back in 2022 and was ported to the PC. There is something incredibly satisfying in playing some of these older games natively on PC. The people who pour their hearts and souls into these projects are legends. I'm honestly not even the biggest fan of the movement mechanics in the Jak series, but this first one's a collectathon and I approve of that. The actual game I like less and less as it goes on though. Oxenfree 2: Lost Signals continues on the gameplay of the first one. You walk around a fairly sizable, nice looking map with a companion, talking through a multitude of things along the way, both to progress the plot and develop the characters. It all still works well enough, but I felt like everything had less of an impact than the first. The horror theme was definitely played down, so it was hardly ever creepy or unsettling, but I'm still glad I played it. Rayman Legends finally received my full attention, and I'm glad it did. While I'm still not crazy about Origins, I thought Legends was much more approachable, as if the devs actually wanted me to have fun. The way you unlock levels all over the place was stupid, and there were probably too many levels, but they were mostly pretty strong, and playing through the music themed level at the end of each world was always a highlight. Penny's Big Breakaway. I'm gonna count it because while I did stream it, it was also my first time playing it. Yes, I have complaints about the controls, especially the jump not working, and the learning curve made it hard to get into at first, but I liked figuring out ways to maintain momentum throughout the levels. I feel like I get it now. The bosses mainly sucked though. Alright, and my favorite game played last year is BioShock Infinite. Yes, I'm sorry BioShock took the top spot 2 years in a row, but what can I say? The series is good, and I'm sad it ended here. Let's do some end of year totals in case you want to compare. I played a total of 81 games this past year, which is way more than the 56 from the prior year, though some of those 81 are definitely a lot shorter than others. I beat 1 or 2 games on the NES, N64, Wii, Wii U, Game Boy Advance, 3DS, Master System, Genesis, and even the Sega Saturn, PSP, and Xbox 360. I also finished 4 DS games, 5 Game Boy games and PS3 games, 8 Switch games, and a whopping 43 games on PC. It seems convenience won out. Surprised I didn't have any on PS4, but I didn't have mine on hand this year. Some notable series I got into were the I Spy franchise. I played most of it, and I wouldn't mind them continuing on from the Wii games. And the Siactro games, all the platformers, good, short fun. I also finally finished the Jak and Daxter series. Pokemon Card GB2 is one of those games I started in 2023, but finally finished in 2024. That leads nicely into what I wanted to play last year, so hopefully I'll get to them this year. I began Final Fantasy Tactics, but I keep putting it off because I'm worried about how long it'll take to figure it all out. I'll beat it. I also fully intended to play Halo 2 and replay Sonic Heroes, but just didn't get around to them. I also want to play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations to finish off the remake of the trilogy, and maybe get to the great Ace Attorney series. Similarly, I want to play Ys the Oath in Felghana, and then Ys 7 so I can finally play Ys 8. There are others for sure, but those are the big 5. Oh, and surprise, surprise, my most common genre was 3D platformers. Like last year, Castlevania should be coming next. I'm much further into production on that than I was when I made the 2023 video. Once that's done, I have a lot of ideas for other easier to make videos, but that will be a big one for the channel, so I want to make it special. As I mentioned, I'm also streaming Saturday nights, so feel free to stop by if you're interested in that. I think that's about everything, so thanks again for checking this out, and hope to catch you in the next one.